one thing that's been a little challenging for me, and because I have chronic illness and because and a disability and I'm older, I have a lot of regular doctor's appointments that I cycle through, every 3 months, rechecking here, rechecking there, a lot of, monitoring of blood work. And those are all things that make it possible for me to live a really happy and fulfilling life at my optimal level of wellness. And that's been challenging. What are your thoughts about, seniors and well care and, doing some of those things that you would typically do, kind of checking in with doctors during this time?
That's a really good question. And this is a very tricky time for that. And again, what I will say is guidance on that is going to change. So at the time that we're recording this, it may be different than it's going to be in a week or in 2 weeks. So the first thing that you want to do is check with your doctor or check with the health department website to see what is being recommended. However, there are a couple of things that I think are really important. The doctor's offices are going to very extreme levels to try to keep you safe. And so the first thing that you should do if you have an appointment is call the doctor's office and find out whether that appointment is best done in person, by telemedicine using something like Zoom or an audio-visual connection, or over the telephone. The doctor's office will pick the level that they feel is appropriate for that visit. There are some things that have to be done in person. There are other things that can be done over telemedicine, and that your doctor's office really is invested in keeping you as safe as possible. So they will pick the level that works, that they feel works the best for you, depending on what's happening with the surge of COVID at any given time. So that's the first place that I would start. All kinds of things can be done over the audio visual, but some things cannot. Some things cannot be done that way and must be done in person.
Yeah, so I had that experience yesterday because I had to go to the dentist for a toothache, and just pretty hard to do that over the phone. I have had, a couple of telemedicine visits with my providers that have been on video, and those video conferences were actually really good appointments. And I think it was helpful that the doctor and I already had an existing relationship. So the doctor knew I didn't have to go through my whole long history and everything. So we were just able to kind of get caught up on what was going on for me in that moment. And I've, gotten better at checking my own blood pressure and weighing myself and checking my pulse oximeter, so that I have numbers and data to share with them, so that I'm kind of taking more responsibility on myself for monitoring some of those things at home.
Yeah, this is a very difficult time. And as you know, well, some things lend themselves better to telemedicine than others, but it is a viable option for some types of care. And, all of us want to keep seniors as safe as possible. So that's the approach that we're trying to take. And so any given individual, depending on what their medical problems are, should check with their doctor to see what's going to work the best. But it is difficult. And there are also types of care that we just can't provide in this, if we're having a serious COVID outbreak. And there are some things that can be put off, and there are other things that can't be put off and need to happen right away. And one of the things I think that's happening is hospitals are working very hard to stay open for the absolutely necessary things. So if you're having chest pain, go to the emergency room. If you are having symptoms that might be a stroke, trouble talking, trouble walking, any major change, go to the emergency room. The emergency rooms are safe. They work very hard to keep anyone from catching COVID who comes in. And we want people who are having sudden onset of severe medical conditions to seek medical care, not to delay because of a fear of COVID.
That's such good advice. Thank you. I have a couple of other things that I wouldn't say that they're problems, but they've been a little more challenging in COVID times. One is on getting prescription medicine in a timely manner and in a safe manner. And then the second one was the flu shot, which turned out to be a little more of a challenge than because typically, you just get it at work or, bop into your doctors and they've They don't even wait for you to say hello. They've got your arm and they're giving you the flu shot. So I don't know if you have any advice for seniors on, getting their prescriptions filled, or if you wanted to talk at all about the flu shot this year.
So many seniors who have mail order prescriptions that can be very useful if you're on regular medications, and taking advantage of those mail order opportunities, or even a lot of the pharmacies now are actually delivering to homes if you live in a town. If you live farther out like I do, where the pharmacy won't necessarily deliver, there are safe pickup options. And then the other options are go early in the morning to get your medicines, go late at night, and make sure that you get 90 days worth of medication so you don't have to go back every month. A lot of the insurance plans have eased regulations on how much medication you can get at any given time, because we're trying to help seniors not have to go into the pharmacies as often. So that hopefully that will help. With regard to flu shots, pharmacies are dispensing flu shots. Doctors' offices are still doing it. Some are doing it in the parking lot. Some are doing drive-through. But again, flu shot is very important to get this year for two reasons. The first is that you don't want to get the flu and wonder if you have COVID. And the second is you don't want to get COVID and flu at the same time. So it's very important to get a flu shot one way or the other. And if you're having trouble figuring out how to get a flu shot, call your doctor's office, because they should be able to give you the best, safest, and most distanced option for getting a flu shot.
Thank you. I know it was a little tricky because some of the doctor's offices didn't have their flu shots earlier in the season. They hadn't received them. And then I know a few seniors who actually went to the pharmacy and got turned away, but then they went back the next day and they were able to get their flu shot. So I think, there's a certain amount of persistence because it has, that vaccine sort of trickled into some places. Is it too late now to get a flu shot, Kate?
No, it's not too late now. And in fact, it's a good idea to get a flu shot this year regardless. I do want to be clear that the flu shot will not prevent COVID. The flu shot is for influenza, which is a disease that comes around every single year. But it is still very important to get the flu, because you don't want to get the flu and COVID at the same time.
No.
Plus, you don't want to have any reason to end up in the doctor's office if you don't have to.
It's just a little prick in the arm, as they say.